Tonight, on Be Something Wonderful, how to rise above lack and assume it's already yours. I am your host, Tom Kieran, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I got an email from a subscriber that said, Tom, I'm exhausted. I don't know where my desire is. I've been focused on manifesting it now for weeks, but nothing's changed. And I'm just feeling tired. I'm feeling tired of imagining it. I'm feeling tired of even thinking about my desire. And I was wondering if you could shed some light on that, if you could unpack that. Well, guys, we're going to unpack this tonight and more. So the first thing I want to say, and I've said this before, but I really want to make a point. If it's feeling like effort, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling exhausted from this, from imagining your wish fulfilled, then your attention is on the lack of it. Your attention is on the absence of your desire and not your desire. Your attention is on the unwanted rather than the wanted. That's what's causing the resistance, because that's what resistance is. That's why you feel exhausted. Resistance is the struggle. And resistance is really the 3D struggle, right? Because you're coming from the 3D perspective, right? The 3D world requires effort and struggle and sacrifice. None of that's applicable in that dimensionally larger realm when you're imagining your wish fulfilled. It's not there. You're trying to go at it from the 3D perspective, and you're looking to go, asking yourself, where is it and how long is it going to take? All that is from being captivated by the 3D reality. So we're going to unpack this a little bit more. So I love the world and the world loves me. I even love saying this, right? Because if you can say that and believe it, if you can really internalize that and or something like it, whatever resonates with you, like God always takes care of me, the universe always has my back, right? Everything's always working out for me. The world takes care of me. Whatever it is that resonates with you, if you can really feel that affirmation, if you can feel that as truth within you, within your inner state, then your world would change, would do a 180-degree turn immediately. And you would start seeing lovely coincidences and serendipities, and all sorts of good fortune would start happening and become part of your life experience. Just from making that change, right? Seeing the world differently and seeing yourself as a part of it as different, right? And I'm not even talking about imagining your wish fulfilled here, right? Because you can't feel that I love the world and the world loves me and feel any lack. They're incompatible. It's impossible. So what you're talking about is the 3D world struggle, right? Of leaving that lower state and rising to that state of where your desire is. I hear it, right? You've got to let that go. You've got to release that. And we're going to get to that in a little bit more. But being the creator of your own reality means no longer believing in or identifying with lack in any way, shape, or form. You don't identify or believe in it in any way, shape, or form anymore when you're the creator of your own reality, when you're the conscious creator, right? When you have creative control of your life, you don't look at lack anymore. And all limiting beliefs are beliefs in lack in some way, shape, or form. That's what limiting beliefs are. But look around at nature. Look at the flowers and the trees and the grass and the stars. And with your heart beating and the blood pumping and all the air that you get to breathe, it's abundant. It's not just abundant, it's astonishingly abundant. It's unspeakable abundance, right? It's unfathomable abundance nature. Yet for some reason, we still are able to zero in on lack. We invent lack, right? There is no lack. There's just all that is. There's just God in infinity, and it includes everything. It wants for nothing. It needs nothing, and that's who you are. It's within you, right? Being the creator of your own reality means identifying with that oneness, identifying with that divinity, identifying with all there is or infinity, And knowing that everything you want or everything you desire is contained within all that is and within infinity. And you are one with that. That means you're one with your desires. You couldn't even desire it or perceive anything in 3D reality unless it was within you already. We've talked about this. This is magic, guys. This is magic. So you win by assumption, which you can never win by force. This is what Neville Goddard says about the law of assumption. Perfect subject for tonight. Because if you were assuming your wish fulfilled, if you were really declaring that new version of yourself, if you were announcing, this is who I am now, and letting that old you die, that old state die, then there would not be any struggle. There would not be any effort. You would be fulfilled then and there. And you wouldn't be looking for it or asking about it. Hear this, right? The struggle is over and there's no force and there's no effort when you assume it, when you become it, when you rise to it and let that old you fall away. Let that old state die, and as you resurrect into that new state of consciousness. This is what Neville's always talking about. He quotes scripture here. And when Jesus is praying, this is the night before Jesus got arrested and then crucified, right? And he's in Gethsemane, the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's praying, and he says, not my will, but yours be done. He's saying this to the Father, right? To consciousness, that unconditioned consciousness. Not my will, but yours be done. In other words, not my will from the 3D perspective, from the 3D world, but that higher consciousness, that unconditioned consciousness. And you are one with that. Notice these are both capitalized. I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I, right? So, and then in Mark, in my version, it says, yet not what I will, but what you will, right? This is the law. This is what Neville got. He says, in the law of assumption, your consciousness of being is the Father's will. Hear this. In the law of assumption, your consciousness of being that which you desire, of already being, of assuming it, is the Father's will. That's what the Father wills for you. You are becoming one with the Father, right? This is big, right? And then in the Garden of Gethsemane, it says that this word, right, Gethsemane, is it means oil press for extracting the good stuff from the unusable stuff. An oil press is used to extract the oil from the raw materials, and the raw materials fall aside. And you extract the good out of it. That's what you're doing. You're rising to that state of consciousness, and the old state is falling aside. You're extracting the good. You're rising in consciousness to that state of being, and you're letting that old state fall. That's what the meaning of this. This is what the meaning of Jesus being in that garden, right, of Gethsemane, right? And so let's go a little further with this. And this is what it says in Mark 14:33. And he took with him Peter, James, and John and began to be very distressed. Here's Jesus in the garden with his 3 disciples. He took Peter, James, and John. It said that all of his disciples came with him. But he went further into the garden with Peter, James, and John. What do Peter, James, and John represent? Those disciples, remember, those are the disciplined. That's the disciplined mind. Those represent states of consciousness of the mind, right? And Peter represents faith. James represents wisdom. John represents love. That's what Jesus took with him, right? Within the garden, deeper within the garden. It says he went deeper or further, which signifies deeper in consciousness, right? Or rising higher in consciousness, right? And he took faith, wisdom, and love with him. My soul, that's what Jesus said, my soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch. This is what he says to Peter, James, and John. Remain here and keep watch. In other words, faith, wisdom, and love. Remain here, keep watch over me. Stay with me here as I grieve the death of the 3D world, of the 3D me, and as I rise in consciousness to my Father, as I become one with my Father, or that higher state of consciousness. This is a beautiful representation here, right? Again, the representation that word, right? Gethsemane means oil press. Right? And an oil press is to extract the good oil, or to extract that higher state of consciousness, let that old state fall or die, right? And this represents your struggle that takes place in your consciousness as the truth as the truth is realized and revealed, right? This is your struggle in the 3D world, right? As you recognize that higher consciousness, you've got to let go of the 3D world. You got to stop looking for it, stop wondering about it, and stay in that state within. Rise to that state of consciousness, right? Your desire, a higher state of consciousness of Christ in you, is that place in consciousness or that place in truth, right? The good is pressed out as the old or unwanted state of consciousness falls away and you rise in consciousness. This is beautiful. So this garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, represents you rising in consciousness above the doubts, fears, and limitations of the 3D world. That's what that represents. You're rising above those. You're rising and resurrecting into that new state of consciousness through what? Through your imagination, right? Jesus took all of his disciples, imagination, power, strength, all of them, all those states of consciousness or states of mind or disciplines of the disciplined mind, right? He took the disciplined mind with him, but he took into the garden with him, further in to the garden or deeper within his imagination with him, faith, wisdom, and love. Hear that? Deeper within his imagination, he took these three. He took Peter, John, and James with him to go further into the garden with him, right? That's rising higher. That's going further within your imagination. That's Jesus' inner circle, right? And then he's letting the old state or the 3D ego world die or fall away and allowing the growing awareness of that higher state within. Right? Jesus knew the unreality of 3D and the ultimate reality is spirit. He knew that imagination, law of assumption, is all there is. And he let that old state die, even though you could say it is that Jesus grieved, right? He was feeling it. He was feeling the pull of the 3D world. But he was able to take faith, wisdom, and love with him and have that faith and rise in consciousness. That's the story, guys. It's powerful. So all that is, infinity, you are one with that. You are one with God. You are one with all there is. The opposite of all that is lack. And there is no opposite. That's the point, right? It's made up. That's invented by the 3D world, right? There is no opposite of all that is. All that is all that is. It's absolute. But we call the opposite lack, and we feel lack where there is none, right? So when you're only visualizing it, and from a 3D perspective, you're just trying to see an image. But when you imagine it, when you go deep within your imagination, as Jesus did, with faith and with love and with wisdom, he went deeper in his imagination to embody it, to identify with it, to become one with it. Hear this. He took the 3 disciples in further. He took wisdom, love, right, and faith with him, and he went further in and rose in consciousness, shutting out the 3D world, letting that 3D world fall aside, like the raw materials of the oil press, right, extracting the good, rising in consciousness, resurrecting into that higher state, right? Nothing you perceive is outside of you, otherwise you wouldn't perceive it. We talked about this, right? So just notice, right? Notice nature. Notice how your heart beats, your blood pumps, you breathe the air, the earth spins. Nature demonstrates its endless abundance with the birds, the grass, the bees, the flowers, the trees, all of it, the stars in the sky. It's endless, and it's unspeakable and unfathomable abundance. Lack does not exist, right? How is the thought of lack even possible? Or questions like, why isn't this working? Where is it? What else do I need to do? Whenever you speak those words, whenever you think that, hear this, that just creates realities where it doesn't work and it never manifests. That's what you create. You just create that reality. Remember, nothing you perceive is outside of you. It's within you, so you create that reality. Instead, if you're going to question anything, question and doubt the unwanted. Question and doubt whether lack is really real. That's what you should be questioning. If you're going to question something, question that, because that's not normal. Once you start questioning lack in the unwanted, then you move immediately in the wanted. That's powerful, right? Be, do, and have everything you desire is natural and normal. That's how to rise above lack and assume that it's already yours. I am your host, Tom Karen, And this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. Hit us up on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Karen, our website at tomkaren.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com, or write me anytime at info@BeSomethingWonderful.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, with great love, this is Tom. See you soon.